Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Fanatical Fans with Brian Thompson, the show devoted to fanatically following content related to awesome intellectual properties. I'm your host, Brian Thompson. On today's show, I'll be recapping the first episode of the new non-canonical Disney Plus web series, Willow, and I'll also take you to a real-life location every fan will recognize. But first, let's kick things off with a little nerd news. As fans are well aware, the Walt Disney Corporation produces quite a bit of the content important to us. Whether it's Marvel superhero content, Star Wars content, animation content, or Leprechaun content, there is not a lot of fan-focused content these days that isn't a product of a Disney employee's imagination. That's why we as fans should be interested that the Walt Disney Corporation has a new Chief Executive Officer. Or should I say, an old Chief Executive Officer. After some amount of time of not earning a salary as the Walt Disney CEO, a gentleman by the name of Bob Iger is now back at the company. He replaces his replacement, a gentleman named Bob Chapek, who was also CEO for some amount of time. What this means for the Disney content fans love is anyone's guess, but you can bet we're fascinated by all these goings-on. More on this story as it develops. Speaking of Disney content, film director Quentin Tarantino has broken his silence vis-a-vis whether or not he would like to direct a Marvel superhero film, and what he says may stun you. According to a publication, Mr. Tarantino says he, in fact, does not want to direct a Marvel superhero film. Instead, he claims he would rather direct other kinds of films, such as dramas, etc. No word from Marvel as to whether or not they're happy with this statement, but chances are good they are not. It's quite likely they would love for Mr. Tarantino to change his mind and potentially direct a Marvel superhero film in the future, possibly even an Ant-Man. Speaking of superhero films, did you know some aren't produced by the Walt Disney Corporation, but instead are produced by the Warner Brothers Discovery Corporation? Such is the case for the recent film Black Adam, starring Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock Johnson. But rather than making a lot of money like many Marvel films, Black Adam has made not quite as much money. According to a report from a news outlet, Black Adam may lose its parent corporation several millions of dollars after not enough people decided to go see it. This may be bad news for Mr. Johnson, who has expressed a keen interest in starring in more Black Adams in the future. In particular, he's teased the possibility of starring in a Black Adam where Black Adam beats Superman to death. But according to the same report, the chances of a Black Adam sequel are slim at best. Unless Black Adam makes quite a bit more money on the home video market, the next film in the DC Comics cinematic universe will almost certainly feature someone else beating Superman to death. And that's all the news this week that's of interest to fans. Now it's time for our radical recap. This week, we're recapping the first episode of the new non-canonical Disney Plus web series, Willow. For those who don't know, Willow was originally a film conceived by George Lucas of Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and Strange Magic fame, and directed by Ron Howard, who went on to direct a film called Hillbilly Elegy, which was sort of a cross between The Dukes of Hazzard and Atlas Shrugged. Willow concerns an aspiring magician named Willow, who comes into possession of a special baby named Elora Danan. The evil Queen Bavmorda wants to kill baby Elora, so Willow teams up with a rakish swordsman named Mad Mardigan, a good witch who has been turned into an animal, and a couple of funny insects to protect the baby and defeat the evil queen. Willow the web series involves some of the same characters and actors, but it is not a canonical sequel to the film Willow, since Willow the film was a film, and Willow the web series is a web series. The only true sequel to Willow the film will be the upcoming film Willow 2 through the portal of time, which I have written and am currently shopping around to all the major studios to produce. To read the full treatment and potential casting choices, you can visit the website willow2.com, which I legally own. But to just briefly tell you what Willow 2 is about, I will say that it is a team-up film between the character of Willow and another character called Dar, the Beastmaster, who fans will know from the beloved intellectual property The Beastmaster. In Willow 2, Willow and Dar are swept through the titular portal of time to the early 1990s, aka the heyday of McDonald's pizza, where they have several fish-out-of-water style adventures and also enjoy eating McDonald's pizza before confronting the resurrected evil Queen Bavmorda from Willow 1. If that sounds more interesting than the non-canonical Disney Plus web series Willow, I can assure you, after having seen the first episode of the Willow web series, that yes, my Willow 2 film is much more interesting. To recap, the first episode of the Willow web series concerns the character Willow, who is somewhat older now, yet still played by the great actor Warwick Davis. I am happy Mr. Davis is earning a living through practicing the art of acting, but it is clear he isn't giving his web series performance his full attention. For example, on the Willow web series, he has long hair that seems to be mostly the same length all around, whereas in Willow 1, his character wore his hair in a more visually appealing mullet. The fact that no one involved in this program noticed this glaring discontinuity is representative of the care, or should I say, lack thereof, put into the whole production. Also missing from this first episode of the Willow web series is the character of Mad Mardigan, who is played by the great Val Kilmer in Willow 1. I understand that Mr. Kilmer has suffered some health problems in recent years due to his belief in the Christian Scientist religion causing him to treat his throat cancer with wishes. But that didn't stop him from appearing in this year's blockbuster film Top Gun: Maverick, reprising his character, the Iceman. Surely the Walt Disney Corporation has enough money to meet Mr. Kilmer's salary demands. And if somehow they don't, the least they could have done was hire a lookalike. Hopefully, next week's episode of the Willow web series will be better, but I would not hold my breath. Now, let's visit a real-life location guaranteed to excite fanatical fans in this week's installment of Dorky Destinations. Here I am at the Getty Center in Los Angeles, California. This museum has played host to some of the greatest works from world-renowned artists such as Monet, Manet, and Manet. But fans who don't care about art may recognize it for a different reason. It also served as Starfleet headquarters in the hit film Star Trek: Into Darkness. Written by 9/11 conspiracy theorist Roberto Orci, Star Trek: Into Darkness concerns a so-called false flag attack on Starfleet headquarters that leaves the facility in ruins. Thankfully, this destruction was a simple matter of digital trickery. Today, the Getty Center filming location still stands in all its glory as a tribute to the late oil tycoon J. Paul Getty. Once the richest man in the world, Mr. Getty was so good with money that he refused to pay the $17 million ransom for his kidnapped grandson. Only after the kidnappers cut off the boy's ear and sent it to a newspaper did Mr. Getty agree to pay a significantly reduced ransom of only $2 million. That is a $15 million savings. A short 5 months later, the kidnapped boy was returned to his family safe and sound. Unfortunately, after a life of severe depression and drug abuse, he passed away at the young age of just 54. But I am sure he appreciated how good his grandfather was with money, and he certainly would have enjoyed the Getty Center's appearance in Star Trek: Into Darkness had he lived to see it. Thank you for watching Fanatical Fans with Brian Thompson, a production of Pizza Plea Media. For more episodes, please join my Patreon at patreon.com/pizza@mcd's. I'm Brian Thompson. Until next time, keep consuming content related to awesome intellectual properties.